5, 4, 3. Hello, everyone. Behind the mic again. This time, I'm Gary Laubach, but the other guy behind the mic, John Leone, because he will be behind the mic when we do the men's basketball games, and they are right around the corner. Monday night, November 4th, Villanova, followed up by LaSalle on November 9th. That's a Saturday. And then we stay in Big Five basketball. We'll be home November 12th on Tuesday against Penn. That's a great 3 games, 3 openers, and hopefully we can pull out a win or two.
Yeah, it really is. And while there isn't obviously Villanova, and then we're making a Western trip to Portland, but Villanova, anytime you play a Big Five school, it's an extra added dimension. There's history between those colleges. I remember when I first got here, I remember reading something in the Philadelphia Inquirer, and one of the teams was playing us, and they referred to that little school up in the Lehigh Valley as the Toughies from the North. And it's always fun when you play a Big Five school.
Yeah, and certainly Fran had great ties in Philadelphia, and now we maintain those ties with Mike McGarvey. It should be a fun start to the season. John, as we take a look at our basketball team, we look pretty solid. I mean, obviously we have some inside height. Justin Vanderbond, I think this is the year that he really excels. The question will be, will he get a lot of help?
Yeah, depth is an issue. Obviously, Chris Rabayo, who's if you want to play a double post, those are the two. After that, Misha Benastin would be the next guy at about 6'10", but he's a bit unproven. I think Coach McGarvey's going to look for Misha to take an extra step this year because they're going to need that depth. Injuries happen. Who knows? You've got to be prepared for a long basketball season. But certainly, Justin Vanderbond is a rim protector. He's got experience now. It's always exciting to see how standout players respond and react to becoming seniors. I always worried at a school like this when kids in their senior year would start walking around with, instead of the playbook under their arm, the Wall Street Journal. You know, now you got a problem because they're already interviewing for jobs. But not the case. This team loves to play. Basketball is really, really important to these kids. You can tell on the floor. Gary, the thing that excites me is this might be the most athletic team roster, top to bottom of the roster, in several years.
We got off to a nightmarish start last year, came right back and won the first 7 games in the Patriot League, and then kind of ebbed off of that a little bit. And obviously they want to get off to a good start. We did not have a double-figure scorer last year on the roster. Devin Hines is back. Devin Hines was our leading scorer at 9.8 points per ball game. But I think as I look at this roster, top to bottom, we've got some scoring. And I think last year Mike kind of had to run a really disciplined offense to make sure they got a good shot. Now I think he wants to run a little bit more, not quite as disciplined, because they have shooters.
Yeah, they have shooters and they have quickness. I still think that consistent shooting, until I see it out there, I'm going to hold my breath. But you're right, Gary. These kids, obviously having T.J. Berger back is huge. He was a shot maker who missed the entire season last year. I'm sure you're going to get to the freshmen pretty soon, but I'm going to preempt you just a little bit because I'm watching Caleb Williams out there, and he is just a difference kind of maker. And we know how effective Mark Butler was last year as our starting point guard, exploded onto the scene as a freshman. He's being pushed this year. And I asked Mike during one of the recent practices, can they play together? And he looked at me with this sheet. He goes, oh, yeah, they can play together.
Yeah, Mark struggled last year for me on the arc. He just did not make those shots. He's been working on it, I'm sure, all summer. So hopefully his shooting touch will come back. But as John mentioned, Caleb Wilson, a freshman, 6 foot, 165, 1,500 points in high school, over 600 assists in high school. So he distributes the ball well, not afraid to shoot the basketball. In fact, very confident with the ball in his hand.
No, he's a scorer for sure, Gary, but he's got a great duality to him. In other words, I saw him put the ball on the floor in a position where a player normally couldn't, because of the positioning of the defense, a regular player, a normal human being, couldn't get to the rim. But he did this little squiggle move, and he just split a gap, and he got to the rim. And it's one of those times where you just kind of, your eyes open up and say, whoa. The next time he stepped back, and a three-point shot like he knew exactly what he was doing. So he's someone to watch for. I don't want to hang the hat on him too early. Freshmen are freshmen. There's a learning curve. But this kid's got a pretty high ceiling.
Well, I'm just anxious to say he did the squiggle. If he does the squiggle, we'll be good. Folaboli Fayemi. He is a physical specimen at 6'4", 205. he was a great defensive player in high school, and certainly it never hurts to have a good defensive player on your squad.
Well, if the basketball team's going to enter a track meet, this is the guy who's your anchor. Fola is 6'4", plays bigger than that. Another thing that jumped out at me at one of the practices, he drove down the lane, and I thought he was going to finger roll it over the front of the rim. The next thing I know, he's throwing it down at the rim. He's a little raw. Played for a former player of mine and Coach O's, Raphael Chilius, up at South Kent. A shout out to Ralph. He's now with the Memphis Grizzlies in the NBA, doing some scouting for them. But Raphael was known for bringing in really good athletes, and we were lucky to get a kid of this caliber. Again, rough around the edges. Mike said he might be the best defensive player on the roster.
Well, that's really good to hear. It never hurts to have somebody come out and get some stops. Malik Rasul is the other freshman. He is a good friend of T.J. Berger's, went to school, played for T.J.'s dad before he headed out to Arizona. I think some big things are expected from him, too.
Yeah, I had a chance to run into him when I was walking my granddaughter through the gym a couple of weeks ago. He was out there on his own, working hard, and we got to talking a little bit, and these kids always surprise you. I shouldn't be surprised. I've been here 45 years. But I just said, Malik, so how do you like it here? Oh, I like it a lot. He said, what are you studying? Oh, electrical engineering. And I looked at him differently because I spent enough time up on campus to know that electrical engineering is arguably, and there'll be some faculty folks who take issue with this, it's just different. There should be a separate campus for those people. As a matter of fact, the standing joke among a lot of other kids on campus is that electrical engineering, EE, stands for eventually economics. But Malik is an outstanding student. Again, he's going to bring so much to this basketball team. 6'7", terrific athlete. One of those guys can play the 2, 3, or the 4, and looking for big things from Malik.
And, of course, I always look forward to Ryan Pettit coming in off the bench, getting that offensive foul, getting the energy going. This team looks like it's going to have a lot of energy, so he is going to fit right in.
There's a lot of pieces, and I think the best news, the thing that has to have Mike excited, and I think our fans should be excited, is that guys like Ryan Pettit and Mark Butler, who have been staples for this team, they're being pushed, and your good teams you always had that. When I was fortunate enough to be around in the late '80s, and we had some good teams, our second team loved the fact that they accepted the challenge every day of trying to beat the first team legitimately, and that cooperative competition, just the rising tide, raised all the ships, and that's what championship teams are built, how they're built, and I think we have some of that element this year.
Yeah, we should mention Josh White is looking to certainly be a big improvement. Luke Savasevich, all of those guys are certainly looking to make their mark. And even, as you mentioned, Misha Bednostin may become a force inside. That would be terrific. So that's a look at our guys. How about a look at the league? Well, who do you think's favored to win the league? Well, it's Colgate again, and why not? 7 Patriot League titles. They've won 4 in a row. They are 72-6 in the last 4 years in the league, John. They are just simply unstoppable. And how can Jeff Woodward still be on campus? The guy's been around for 12 or 13 years, I think.
Yeah, I've tried to figure this out for a long time since I started. Well, actually, when I was coaching as well, some guys just have that aura about them that it has to be the 7th year they've been here. Jeff Woodward is one of those guys. He's big and strong. They lost Braden Smith to the transfer portal, and of course they graduated Keegan Records. Can you imagine that two-headed monster? But Matt Langle, he's got it going up there. You know, sometimes, Gary, the biggest challenge for a mid to low major school is getting those first championships or two, and all of a sudden you've got something to sell. You get it going. The continuity is there. There's viability. The program is validated, and certainly in little old Hamilton, New York, Matt Langle has done that. So they'll be a force.
They will certainly be that. The loss of Braden Smith, though, may have a tremendous effect. This guy was destined, I think, to be the player of the year in the Patriot League. Some other names: Matt Rogers of American. They're picked to finish second. They've got Elijah Stevens and Matt Rogers. That's a terrific duo.
Matt Rogers is one of my favorite players in the league. Just his style of play. He's got great size. He's versatile. He can step out. Elijah Stevens is another combo guard. He can score it. He's a catalyst. And Coach Simkus, has got them running a little bit more. And American's going to be good. And to coin a phrase I've heard around here before, Boston University, all 5 starters back. Coach Jones is going to have it again.
Yeah, he will certainly do that. Lehigh has Tyler Whitney, Sidney back. Bucknell has Noah Williamson. The leading scorer in the league last year was Navy's Austin Bignini, and you and I saw him more than once. And oh my goodness, he's impossible to stop.
Well, the interesting thing about Austin was that he didn't have a great supporting cast, so it isn't like he was snuck up on anybody. You knew who was the scorer, and you still couldn't stop him. And of course, that's what you expect from someone who's charged with defending our country. You like to see that, but not against us on a basketball court.
Of course, Army has Josh Scovins, Ryan Curry, so they'll be formidable. Holy Cross with Caleb Kenny, they'll be formidable. Loyola with a new head coach. It should be a very interesting year. Lafayette picked to finish 7th. Certainly, we think that they will probably do better than that.
Look, I'm going to have to talk. I know. I look like mini-me. This is so. Yes, Loyola will be good. Josh Loeffler, the new head coach there, and Josh, if that name is familiar, of course, an assistant to Fran O'Hanlon when he was here.
Yeah, it should be a great, great season. We'll be behind the mic, as we say. John and I will be there. Our opening ball game will be Penn.
I may be under the mic before we get out of this thing.
We hope John survives the show. That's Behind the Mic. Thanks to John. Thanks to all of you for spending time with us. Let's get ready for some hoops.